Jason Statham was a strong man who acted in movies. People knew him for being serious and tough. In his movies, he fought bad guys and looked really cool doing it. But today was different. He wasn't on a movie set. He wasn't wearing fancy clothes or standing in front of cameras. Jason was in a gym, a real gym where real people trained hard. The gym didn't smell nice. It smelled like sweat, old leather, and metal. But that was okay. That smell meant people were working hard. Jason wasn't here to be a movie star. He was here to be better, stronger, and to prove something to himself. His eyes looked serious. He watched everything around him, thinking hard. Jason started to train. He punched the air jab, hook jab. He moved his body back and forth, side to side. Every move was careful and smart. He had trained like this for years for his movies, but now he was doing it for real. People in the gym looked at him. Some were curious. Some didn't care. But Jason didn't mind. He wasn't there to show off. He was there to work hard and get stronger. Suddenly, the gym felt different. Someone new walked in. He was big and scary looking. His name was Torque. Everyone in the gym knew who he was. Some people liked him, but others were afraid of him. He had scars on his face, like marks from past fights. His eyes were sharp and wild, like a tiger. Torque walked toward Jason. He looked at him and made a loud, mean sound. "You call that training?" Torque said in a rough, mean voice. He laughed and walked around Jason like a lion looking at a smaller animal. Jason stopped moving. He didn't get angry. He just looked at Torque. Sweat was on his face, but he was calm. "I'm here to push myself," Jason said. His voice was strong and steady. "I'm not here to show off or fight for fun. I'm here to get better." Torque laughed again, louder this time. The walls of the gym echoed his laugh. "You think this is a movie?" Torque said. "Look around you. This is the real world. No movie magic. No second takes. This is my ring now. If you don't fight dirty, you'll lose." People in the gym started watching. Some were on Torque's side. Others thought Jason was brave. Everyone felt the air grow heavy, like a storm was coming. Jason didn't blink. His eyes stayed on Torque. "This isn't about your ring," he said. "This is my own fight. A fight to test myself." Torque stepped closer. His face was red, and he smelled like sweat and anger. "Then show me what you've got, Hollywood," Torque said. "Let's see if you can really fight." The gym got quiet. Even the sounds of weights and punching stopped. People stood in a circle, watching. The punching bags seemed to pause, like they were waiting too. Jason stood tall. "I don't need to prove anything to anyone," he said. "I fight for honor. But if you want to fight, it should be fair. No tricks. No cheating." Torque gave a sneaky smile. "Honor," he said. "You've already lost. Here, honor means nothing. Winning is all that matters. And I'm going to show you that your movie fighting won't help you here." Everyone in the gym held their breath. Two very different men were about to fight. Jason was calm and smart. Torque was wild and angry. It was like two different worlds were crashing together. The clean, cool world of movie fighting and the rough, real world of street fighting. Then ding. An old gym bell rang. That was the start of the fight. Jason took a deep breath. He moved into a fighting stance. Every part of his body was ready. Torque moved too, slow and proud, like he had already won. "Let's begin then," Jason said. The first moment was fast, so fast it looked like a blur. Jason moved like water, smooth and quick. He punched carefully and dodged Torque's moves. Each hit from Jason was smart. Each step was strong. But Torque was like a storm. His punches were big and loud. He didn't care about looking good. He just wanted to hit hard. One of his punches hit Jason really hard. "Not bad for a movie star," Torque said, laughing. "Now let me show you real power." Jason's face hurt, but he didn't fall. He stepped forward and hit Torque back with a fast combo. Punch, punch, punch. Torque moved back a little. "I didn't come here to talk," Jason said. "I came to fight with everything I have." The fight got faster and louder. The two men punched, blocked, dodged. Sweat flew through the air. People watching cheered and gasped. This was no movie. This was real. Every hit had a meaning. Every dodge told a story. Jason was saying, I am more than just a movie star. Torque was saying, this is my world, and I'm the best. You think you're strong just because you acted in some movies? Torque shouted. He punched again and again. This isn't a film. And I'm not acting. Jason shouted back. This is real, and I'm not pretending. The fight wasn't just about fists. It was about pride. About proving who they really were inside. Jason fought with heart. He didn't have fancy lights or cool music behind him. But every move showed how much he cared. How much he had trained. How much he wanted to be better. Torque fought like he had something to protect. Like he had fought all his life and didn't want anyone to take his place. The crowd couldn't look away. Everyone was cheering. Some shouted for Torque. Some shouted for Jason. It didn't matter who won. What mattered was the fight, the heart, the courage, the spirit. Time passed slowly. Each second felt like a minute. The two men kept going. Punches landed. Blocks held. Neither man wanted to give up. The round was almost over. Jason's body was sore. Torque was breathing hard. But they kept going. They didn't stop. Jason's shirt was soaked with sweat. His fists were red. But he didn't fall. Torque had a cut on his cheek, but he kept fighting too. They both stood in the middle of the ring, looking at each other. Their eyes said everything. You're not bad, Torque said, breathing hard. You're strong too, Jason replied. But I'm not going to stop. And then ding. The bell rang again. The round was over. Both men were still standing. They were tired, sweaty, and bruised. But they looked at each other with something new, respect. No one had won. But no one had lost either. The people clapped loudly. They weren't just cheering for the fight. They were cheering for the heart both fighters had shown. Jason had proved that he was more than just a movie actor. Torque had seen that honor still had power. In that moment, both men became something more than just fighters. They became warriors. And in that gym, with its sweat and its noise and its hard walls, something special had happened. Two people from different worlds had met in battle. And neither one gave up. Not bad at all. Torque looked at Jason. He wiped sweat off his face and said, You're strong. I respect that. But this is only the beginning. This is my place, and you can't leave now. Jason nodded. He looked serious but calm. I never give up, he said. His voice was strong, like a promise. I fight because I believe fighting can be good and brave. Outside the gym, the city was waking up. People walked on the streets, not knowing a big fight was happening inside. But for the people watching in the gym, this was not just a fight. It was something special. It was a story of two brave people who were fighting not just with their fists, but with their hearts. The bell rang. That meant the fighters could rest for a short time. The gym became quiet, but it wasn't peaceful. The silence felt full of feelings, like secret hopes, big dreams, and challenges still to come. The fight wasn't over. The next round would be even tougher. It would feel like a movie, but it was real life. In that gym, something big was happening. Legends were being made, one punch at a time. Getting ready again. The short break between rounds felt like a very long time. The air was heavy, like the fog that covers New York in the early morning. Both fighters went to their corners to rest. Their bodies hurt from the punches they had taken. Jason leaned on the old ropes of the ring. He closed his eyes for a moment. He could smell the air. It smelled like hard work and fear mixed together. Torque stared at him. His eyes looked like fire. He wasn't going to give up. He looked like he was daring Jason to lose. A coach shouted from the side, "Keep going. It's not over." But it was hard to hear him. The fighters could only hear their hearts beating and the loud energy in the room. Jason's mind was full of thoughts. He remembered old wins and old mistakes. He thought about all the roles he had played in his life. Each one taught him something about standing up for what's right. This wasn't just a fight. It was about showing the world that he was more than what people thought. He opened his eyes. He had to choose. Would he let the chaos take over, or would he use it to become stronger? Torque was pacing back and forth like an angry lion. "You're strong, Statham," he whispered. "But I'm not just here to win. I'm here to break every idea you have about fighting." The fight begins again. Ding. The bell rang again. The fight started. Jason moved fast. Every punch he threw meant something. Every step he took was careful. This round was different. Torque roared, "Come on then." He threw many punches, hooks and uppercuts. Jason had to move quickly to dodge them. He used every bit of strength and speed he had. Sweat rolled down Jason's face. He hit back with a quick combo. His punches were like messages, "I'm not giving up." "You talk big, Torque," Jason said as he breathed hard. He smiled a little, even though he was in pain. But fights aren't about talking. It's about showing who's in control. Torque laughed, a deep, rough laugh. "Control? In my world, control is something you earn in the ring. And I'm going to earn it right now." Torque came forward again. Every punch showed his years of training. People watching leaned in close. They couldn't look away. The fight wasn't just about winning. It was becoming something bigger, something people would remember. Outside the gym, people started to hear about the fight. Word was spreading. People in underground fight clubs in New York were already talking about it. What started as a simple fight between two people had now become something more. A story. A legend. Back inside, the fight gets tougher. Back in the gym, fists kept flying. Every punch sounded like a hammer hitting metal. The story of this fight was about pain, pride, and never giving up. Jason spoke again through the noise, his voice full of feeling. "Every scar tells a story, Torque. And tonight, we're writing a story that people will talk about for a long time." Torque didn't smile. He just growled and said, "Your story ends tonight, Statham. And it's going to be a story of losing." For a second, time felt like it stopped. The two men walked in a slow circle around each other. No one moved. Everyone held their breath. Then both fighters yelled and rushed at each other again. They hit, blocked, dodged, like a dance made of punches. Every move was strong and full of meaning. They kept talking as they fought, like their words were punches too. "You can't hide behind your fame forever, Statham." Torque shouted. He punched Jason hard in the ribs. Jason took the hit and hit back. "And you can't cover your pride with every punch, Torque." His eyes were full of fire. His fist hit Torque's jaw and made him stumble for a moment. Fighting their fears. This wasn't just about muscles. It was also about what was happening inside their hearts. With every hit, they weren't just fighting each other. They were fighting the fears inside them. They were thinking about their dreams, their mistakes, and what they wanted to prove to the world. They didn't want to just survive. They wanted to show that they mattered. That their story mattered. As the round ended, both fighters stood tall. They were tired, bruised, and hurting. But they didn't fall. They didn't give up. That made the crowd go wild. People clapped, cheered, and shouted their names. The gym walls echoed with noise. But under all the cheering, there was a quiet question in everyone's hearts. Who would win? And what would they lose to do it? Resting again, but just for a moment. The timer beeped. It was time for another short rest. The gym became quiet again. Jason and Torque closed their eyes. Not because they lost, but because they needed to think. They knew the next round could change everything. They knew every second now was important. A true fighter isn't just someone who punches hard. A true fighter is someone who gets up every time they fall. The crowd was still full of energy. They couldn't wait for the next part of the fight. This next round wouldn't just be about who was stronger. It would be about something more. Something deeper. The next round would ask, what do you really believe in? Are you willing to fight for it? One more time. The bell rang. The fight began again. Torque moved like a bull. Strong and fast. Jason moved like a panther. Smooth and careful. They clashed again. Punch after punch. Sweat flew through the air. People in the crowd gasped and shouted. Jason took a big hit, but he didn't fall. He wiped blood from his lip and smiled. "You don't scare me, Torque," he said. Torque snarled. "You should be scared." "I'm not," Jason replied, "because I know who I am. And I'm not done yet. They kept fighting. Their arms were tired. Their legs were shaking. But they still fought. Because this fight meant everything. To them, this wasn't just a sport. It was a story. A battle. A moment that would live forever. The final bell nears. As the fight went on, it felt like time slowed down again. The crowd stood, too nervous to sit. Some had tears in their eyes. They had never seen a fight like this. Jason and Torque were still throwing punches. Still standing. Still talking. "You're not just a fighter," Jason said between punches. "You're something more." "You too," Torque replied. "But only one of us can win." "We'll see," Jason said, swinging his fist one more time. The end. Or the beginning. The bell rang again. This time, it was the end of the round. Both fighters stood still, breathing hard, their faces bruised. But their eyes were bright. They had given everything. The crowd clapped and cheered. Some people even cried. Everyone knew they had just seen something amazing. In that moment of quiet, Jason and Torque looked at each other. They didn't smile. But there was respect. Deep respect. They knew they had done something great. Outside, the city was fully awake. But inside the gym, time felt different. Two men had fought not just with fists, but with their hearts. And win or lose, they had become something more than fighters. They had become legends. The break between rounds was over. The rest of the time had ended. But the sounds and feelings from the last part of the fight were still in the gym. The smell of sweat was strong. Everyone could feel how hard the fight had been. Both fighters were getting ready for the next part, which would be the hardest part yet. Jason was breathing hard, but he was calm. He looked at Torque, but he was also thinking about something bigger. He was thinking about the future. Every bruise, every drop of sweat, meant something to him. He wanted to make a name for himself. Across from him, Torque's eyes looked very serious. It was like losing was not something he could even think about. Torque did not want to be beaten. The gym felt heavy. Everyone could feel the pressure. It was like a storm was building inside both fighters. The room was full of tension. A trainer came close and shouted with care and energy, "This is not just about tonight. This is about showing who you really are. Dig deep." His words were strong. They were not just words. They were a challenge. They were also a wish. Everyone in the gym could feel it in their hearts. Then, there was a short moment of silence. Jason and Torque looked at each other. They didn't say anything, but their eyes said a lot. Jason's eyes showed how hard he had trained for many years. He looked strong and calm, like a hero in a movie. Torque's eyes were full of fire. He looked wild and ready, like someone who had fought all his life. The gym was full of loud energy. It felt like something big was about to happen. It felt like this was where a story would be written. Then the bell rang. It made a loud sound, like a trumpet calling them to battle. The second round began again, but this time it was even more intense. Jason moved faster now. His moves were sharp and smart. He punched and dodged with skill. He had trained for this moment. Every punch he threw had a story behind it. He wanted to change the story people told about him. But Torque wasn't going to lose easily. He came at Jason with wild power. He didn't fight like someone who trained in a gym. He fought like someone who learned on the streets. His voice was loud and strong as he shouted, "You got style, movie boy." But style doesn't win fights. Blood and sweat do. Their bodies moved like they were dancing, but it was a hard, rough dance. Every punch was like a loud word. Every block was like a full stop. They were talking with their fists. The gym filled with the sounds of their fighting, the punches, the grunts, the feet moving fast. They started to talk to each other while they fought. Every move you make is like a scene from a movie. Torque shouted, hitting Jason with an uppercut. Jason stumbled back but answered with strong words, "And every punch you throw reminds me of how many times you've lost." Their fight was not just with their bodies now. It was a battle of words too. As they fought, they began to think about their own lives. Jason started to feel like this wasn't just a fight. It was a journey. He wanted to find out who he really was. He wanted to show he was more than a movie star. Torque also felt something deep. He was trying to forget his past losses. He wanted to prove he was still strong. There was a short pause in their fighting. They looked at each other again. They were tired. They were breathing hard. Jason thought about his past, about how far he had come. "You may have grown up fighting real fights on the streets, Torque," Jason said quietly, almost to himself. "But tonight, I'm fighting for everyone who was ever told they couldn't do it." Torque's angry face changed just a little. His eyes showed he was thinking. For a moment, he looked like he understood. "Maybe," he said, not shouting now. "But in this place, the rules are written with scars. I'm not here to be a hero. I'm here to win." They started fighting again. But now it was more than just a fight. It was two different ideas coming together. Jason had skill and training. Torque had raw power and heart. The people watching could feel the difference. They weren't just watching punches. They were watching two ways of living come face to face. Whispers spread through the crowd. People said this fight could become a legend. Outside the gym, the city was quiet. It was early morning now. Lights flickered on. The sun was slowly rising. People in the streets were hearing stories about the fight. Some said it was one of the greatest fights ever. Back inside, the fight was like a dance full of feeling and power. Both Jason and Torque were pushing their limits. Jason moved like he was telling a story with his body. His punches, his kicks, his fast steps, they all said, "I want to be more than a character in a film." Torque, on the other hand, fought like he had no plan. He just followed his heart. Every punch came from a life that was full of hard times. He fought like he had nothing to lose. "I don't need to impress you with words, movie boy," Torque roared as their punches hit hard. "This fight is my truth. And tonight, my truth will break yours." Jason stayed calm. His voice was soft but strong. "Every fighter has a truth, Torque. Ours isn't written in easy wins. It's written about how we stand back up after we fall." Their words hit just as hard as their fists. The crowd cheered and shouted. The fight felt like something bigger than just a sport. It was about life, about never giving up, about finding out who you are. The round kept going. They were both tired now. Their bodies were covered in sweat. Their muscles hurt. But they kept going. They didn't stop. Their hearts were strong. They were giving everything they had. The round was almost over. Time felt like it was slowing down. Jason and Torque looked like two shadows moving fast. The gym lights flickered above them. For a second, there was silence. They both looked at each other with respect. They knew this wasn't just a fight. It was something deeper. It was about finding meaning in a messy world. Then, Jason found a little more strength. He threw a fast group of punches. It made Torque step back. "You're strong," Jason said, breathing hard. His voice had both kindness and challenge. But strength isn't only about punching hard. It's about believing in why you're fighting. Torque shook his head, but he looked unsure for a second. Then his face got hard again. "Belief can be broken," he growled. "And tonight, I'll show you that sometimes power is the only thing that matters." Ding. The bell rang. The round was over. Both fighters slowly walked back to their corners. They were breathing like they had run a marathon. Their minds were full of thoughts. The people watching knew something big had just happened. The fight wasn't just about who would win. It had become a story about who they were inside. Outside the gym, the city felt different. The sun was rising. People in hidden places, tiny bars, smoky rooms, were talking about the fight. They asked, "What is a real fight? Is it just about strength? What about the heart? Is being a hero in a movie the same as being one in real life?" For Jason and Torque, this wasn't just about fists. It was their life story coming to life. The road to victory wasn't straight. It was made of pain, mistakes, and hope. But it was also full of chances to change and grow. As they got ready for the next round, they both knew something. This fight would decide more than just who won. It would decide how people remembered them. It would shape their future. It would make them legends. The storm was not just in the ring anymore. It was inside their hearts. It was in the gym. It was in the people watching. The fight had become something magical, something deep. Every punch, every block, every breath, they all meant something. This was not just a fight. This was the moment where two people stood up, gave it their all, and showed the world what it means to believe in yourself, and to fight for who you really are. Did you enjoy the story? I'd love to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you had fun, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss the next adventure.